Purposely. Your life, God's purpose. Listen at onpurposely.com.
Whenever I fly across the country to visit my precious parents, my dad picks me up at the airport and Mom waits at home. And she's ready. She's got the table set because she knows we're going to bring home bagels. She's got the butter and the cream cheese out and the coffee is on. And she looks out the window and opens the door 100 times because she's waiting for me to come. She's expecting me to come. Do you realize that God's goodness and mercy follow us all of the days of our lives? That's what we learn in Psalm 23, and we can be on the lookout for his goodness and mercy all the days of our lives. Isn't that a neat picture? Hi, welcome to the Bible for Busy People. I'm Erica, your host, and today you and I are going to continue to pursue peace in our lives. We know that peace comes from the Prince of Peace. That's one of the names of Jesus. But what does it look like? How can we identify it in the stories in the Bible and then in our own lives? How does it play out? Right? It's one thing to have a jar of Play-Doh. It's another thing to learn how to make cute little animals and bird nests out of it, right? That's what we're doing. We're learning how to apply the peace of Jesus to our lives. Like faith, peace is also tied to trust. Trust in God's word, in his promises. We can stand on them. The old hymn says, "On Christ, the solid rock I stand, all other ground is sinking sand." In the Gospel of John, we learn that Jesus is the word and Jesus is the rock. He is a safe place to stand. His promises have been proven. So today we're going to join Elijah and his servant as they wait for the rainstorm that God promised would come. Okay, it's been 3 years since it rained in Israel. It's been 3 years since God got tired of his people worshiping false idols and shut up the heavens. But now God tells Elijah the rain is coming, and Elijah believes him, but he still has to lean into that trust. He still has to take God at his word. So what do you say? You and I put the puffy coat with the hood of faith on and stand with Elijah in the midst of this drought. Join me in 1 Kings chapter 18, beginning in verse 41. Then Elijah said to Ahab, he was the evil king, by the way, that time in Israel, "Go, get something to eat and drink, for I hear a mighty rainstorm coming." So Ahab went to eat and drink. But Elijah climbed to the top of Mount Carmel and bowed low to the ground and prayed with his face between his knees. Then he said to his servant, "Go and look out toward the sea." The servant went and looked, then returned to Elijah and said, "I didn't see anything." 7 times Elijah told him to go and look. Finally, the 7th time, his servant told him, "I saw a little cloud about the size of a man's hand rising from the sea." Then Elijah shouted, "Hurry to Ahab and tell him, climb into your chariot and go back home. If you don't hurry, the rain will stop you." Do you hear the faith in Elijah the prophet's words right there? All the servant saw was a cloud, a little one. It's described as little, the size of a man's hand. I mean, if you're not driving right now, hold your hand out in front of you and just stare at it. Wow, that is a small cloud, right? Still, nevertheless, Elijah says, "Hurry," to his servant before you get caught in the rain. Verse 45 now, "And soon the sky was black with clouds. A heavy wind brought a terrific rainstorm, and Ahab left quickly for Jezreel. Then the Lord gave special strength to Elijah. He tucked his cloak into his belt and ran ahead of Ahab's chariot all the way to the entrance of Jezreel." Here is an interesting miracle that I've never really noticed before. He ran ahead, Elijah did, of Ahab's chariot. Wow, that is so cool. It reminds me of Dash from the Pixar movie, The Incredibles, the little boy that could run really, really fast. That is amazing. It must have felt so good to run, to know that he was experiencing and actually living in the middle of an answer to prayer. Running through the rain must have felt wonderful. So what can we take from this? Well, last time we talked about how you and I can have peace knowing who's in charge. Today, I just want to remind you that you and I can have peace knowing that the one we put our faith in is faithful. God told Elijah, okay, the drought's over. It is going to rain. And Elijah prayed and leaned into his deep faith in God and believed, and he kept sending his servant out as an act of faith. Is it raining yet? Is it raining yet? Kind of like a child in the car. Are we there yet? God, is it happening yet? When you and I choose faith, we also, at the same time, choose peace. Elijah took God at his word. Elijah, it's going to rain, God told him, and he believed him. We can take God at his word. When he tells us that he causes everything to work together for the good of those who love God and are called according to his purpose, we can believe that. When he says, I have plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope in the future, we can take God at his word. And I want you to know today, if you are in the middle of a personal drought in your life, listen, let these words from King David in Psalm 63 wash over you. Oh God, you are my God. I earnestly search for you. My soul thirsts for you. My whole body longs for you in this parched and weary land where there is no water. I have seen you in your sanctuary and gazed upon your power and glory. Your unfailing love is better than life itself. How I praise you. I will praise you as long as I live, lifting up my hands to you in prayer. Remember who you're putting your faith in. He is faithful. And I believe that will lead you to streams of peace today. Until next time, you are loved. Thank you for making time for the Bible for Busy People today. If being part of this community is a blessing to you, it's super easy to share this podcast with someone you love. We're all about spreading the hope of Jesus like butter. So if you've got a moment to write a review, boy, we'd really appreciate that. Maybe you need a little prayer today, or you're ready to take that next step with God. I invite you to check out our show notes. You're going to find lots of encouragement there. This podcast is one branch on a tree called Purposely, a podcast network designed with practical podcasts to help you find and thrive in God's purpose for your life. If you've got a pulse, you've got a purpose.